news for me is that the momentum of our campaign has been upward all along. And I believe things are now set in place where there could be a big surprise come June 8th. And if ever there was an election year where people are interested in a fresh face, somebody new, somebody coming out of the grassroots, it's 2010. Because one thing I know very certain, 2010 is going to be a change election year. Change is coming. But this change isn't like what was promised 2 years ago by our current president. This change isn't coming from the top down. Change is coming across Iowa and across the country from the grassroots up, because the people are going to bring about change. And that is all for the better here in Iowa and across the country. And I think it's time to change out our current governor and replace him with a Republican. The old line goes, I'm here tonight to apply for the job. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak and to share a little bit about who I am. Born in Iowa, born over in Waverly, grew up in central Iowa, a small community by the name of Zeering in Story County, the son of a high school government history teacher. I'm the oldest of 5 kids. When I went to college, one of the best things that happened during my 4 years of college was meeting Trish. And Trish grew up in north central Iowa. Her folks still live on the family Century Farm in Wright County. The farm is located between Renwick and Kanawha in the northwest corner of Wright County, and her parents also own and operate a farm implement dealership called Boone Valley Implement in Renwick. We personally stay very closely involved with agriculture and agribusiness through Trish's family. We moved to Carroll in 1985. That's been home for 25 years, the hometown to our 2 grown children. Our daughter Lindsay, she and her husband Shane and their 4 children live in southwest Iowa down in Mills County. Lindsay is a high school teacher, a high school girls softball, basketball coach, and Shane is involved in agribusiness and farming with his family. And their 4 children are Graydon, Maddie, Jack, and Ryan. Trish would agree with me, being grandparents is one of the greatest things in all the world. And then Friday, we drive to Iowa City, and our son Brett will graduate from the law school at the University of Iowa. So he will finally achieve the goal, and we'll be happy, won't we, Trish? Brett will be done. And that's a little personal background. And I, for the past 20 years, have done statewide development work on behalf of the Christian churches and churches of Christ, overseeing new church development, leading in strategic planning and leadership development on a local congregational level. Essentially helping other people individually and as teams or groups develop their leadership skills and potential. And one of the wonderful benefits to me personally doing that kind of work is that I keep myself sharp on what effective leadership is all about. And it's been a passion of mine throughout my adult life to study effective leadership and to demonstrate it and to help others understand what effective leadership means. And that has served me well in my work as a state legislator. And in 2000, the people back home elected me to my first term in the Iowa House. I currently represent all of Carroll County, the eastern half of Crawford County, and the 4 southeast townships up in Sac County. Lakeview and Auburn would be communities that are in my House district. And I have been reelected in 4 subsequent election cycles. I've just completed my 5th term in my 10th year of session. And I have the distinction of the 44 Republicans in the Iowa House of coming from the least friendly Republican district within the caucus based on voter registration. It's not like up in your corner of the state, down in Carroll County. But the folks back home have been very good to know that their state representative, although he's a conservative Republican, is the kind of individual who is principled, thoughtful, but he's approachable, friendly, and respectful. And I tell you what, when it comes to leadership and being an effective leader, knowing what you believe and why you believe it, knowing where you're going, in combination with those leadership or temperament qualities, makes for somebody that can run for office, win, time and again, with the support of independent registered voters and, yes, even conservative Democrats. And one of the reasons why I was encouraged to think about running 2 years ago was because a lot of people understood that Republicans had to think very carefully about 2010 and what kind of a candidate to run against Chet Culver. Because whoever the Republican nominee is here in Iowa, that candidate, that nominee, has to be able to unite all Republicans and then go into the general election campaign with Chet Culver and cast a compelling conservative message that will also draw and attract independent registered voters in large numbers, and hopefully even conservative Democrats, if you want to build the kind of wave it will take to defeat Chet Culver. Because as vulnerable as he is the incumbent. And it's not easy defeating even a vulnerable incumbent governor in Iowa. And I believe that I have the right leadership skills, experience, temperament, but also the kind of track record that can demonstrate Rod can win this primary race and he can beat Chet Culver. All the pundits, not including Doug, because he's exceptional, pundits who speculate, in a hypothetical matchup with Chet Culver, which of these three candidates can get the job done? And this last week, there was a Democrat political strategist in an article saying that Rod Roberts is the toughest opponent that the Republicans could put up against Chet Culver. Why? Because he can unite Republicans just like he's been talking about. And friends, within the Republican Party, we have some challenges. We are not united. And we've got to be concerned about this, and we've got to all be together, pulling together behind our nominee. And that strategist said, Rod Roberts can not only unite all Republicans, he can win over independents. And yes, even those conservative Democrats. And that's why Chet Culver shouldn't take Rod Roberts lightly, and he'd be a tough opponent for Chet Culver. I found that interesting. You're starting to hear that more and more. And so one thing I want to be very clear about this evening, as I travel the state, as people have listened to the two televised debates that have taken place already, and by the way, the third and final debate will take place a week from tomorrow, down at the Iowa Public Television Studios in Johnston. And that'll be the third and final one. It'll take place at noon and then be rebroadcast, I'm sure, across the state. But between the debates, being a guest on Iowa Public Television's program Iowa Press several weeks ago, the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive and supportive. And our campaign has been continually picking up momentum each and every day. Monday, I was in Spencer, Esterville, and Algona. In our get-together in Spencer, the mayor walks in. He's been the mayor for 6 years. Walks up to me and says, Rod, you're my guy. I'm supporting you, and I'm telling everybody I know that I'm supporting you and asking them to get behind you too. That's the kind of thing that's happening all over the state. And all I can tell you is in 2010, with what's going on with people at the grassroots, I've never seen people more restless, unhappy, frustrated, and downright angry about how things are, where they've been going, and they want change. And a lot of people have concluded, you know what, Rod Roberts, not only have that fresh face, that new leader, you have somebody who understands that serving in a position of leadership, the office of governor, means that you understand that you're called to serve the people of Iowa, not advance your own personal career. And that sets me apart. I've always viewed public office as being a trust, and that it's an opportunity to serve people, do it well, and advance what is in their best interest. And you know what? The day comes, that part of your life concludes, you go on to something else. Because no one is indispensable when it comes to politics and serving in government. You have your opportunities, and then you move on. And right now in my life, I believe this is the moment when there is an opportunity for me to step forward and present myself, share my message, make the case. I'm prepared to be the governor of Iowa. And I've lived through I'm a conservative. I believe in limited government, personal responsibility. The Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa are our supreme law.